Ayin, 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 ayin,
Knowing himself means to have an intricate unity, not merely with what he was made, but with the Maker's intent in his being made. This is what he is. The real mitzvah of the person. That's what a human being is from an animal or happens. An animal does not, like we say, in place of Rabbi Bodan the Rashi, we discussed that time the Rashi in Chumash. That his chayas consists in the fact that he also knows, the das. What is das? To him, the world is not just a presence, but he knows that it exists. This knowledge is directly related to the intent of its existence. Because that we had a very long discussion. Only an intentional presence bears to be known. An inadvertent presence it does not call to be attention, does not call to be known. This is what we always point out, that Emunah is not what is how it's being do as blind faith. There is nothing brighter than Emunah, because Emunah is a recognition of the knowledge of the Creator Himself. That's Emunah. So this is now it's going to be just points, but this is the significance. We have to elaborate but just to so to speak, to give a conclusive symbolic answer to this question. Knowledge is the representative of the truth and reality of this. Interesting thing in the Torah, but especially by Odom Rishon. By Odom it says, "Vayedo Odom es ishtoi." Vayedo Odom es ishtoi. Odom knew his wife. He knew his wife, and that alludes to their relationship. Right? So Alter says the knowledge, the idea is from his kashus and so. But what is the correlation? What is the relationship between the common meaning of the word vayeda, knowledge, and his kashus? Odom Rishon was the perfect human being. For him, pardon me for this allusion, to be attracted because of a physical phenomenon is totally out of whack. The relationship, like we just described that, by him, it was all Elokus. He knew what the significance of this is. He knew the godly presence in this significance, in this relationship. This is the koyach that the Eibishter has given him to create an eternity. And this is Vayedas Ishtri. This is why there was this total unity. This is kashrus. His kashrus is only possible when two people are two separate entities, what they were made to be themselves, they cannot be a total hiskashrus. Hiskashrus is only when you know what you're all about. You know it from the Creator's perspective, not from your own perspective. Then there's a complete overview that there is this unity between this person and that person. And that's why it's called hiskashrus. Let us continue. So we are about a third down on page Yud Gimel. The line starts with the word K'mishikosu b'mokim acher. And K'mishikosu b'mokim acher v'yizboyer gamkin l'kamon, and will also be explained further down, refers to the principle that oir is dovug bim koirei, remains connected to the mokir. We discussed this, I think, quite extensively last night. And because the oir is dovug bim koirei, therefore in the oir there is a constant rotzo, a constant drawing towards its mokir, to be incorporated in the mokir, not to be an entity unto itself. Ubifrat, and then moreover, particularly sheho'oir k'meisha kolu be'atzmusoi, that the oir in the state and in the level as it is kolu be'atzmusoi, that it is incorporated in the atzmus, as we said, that oir, the real element of oir is kolu be'atzmusoi, harei b'bchinas ilui. So then the oir is in a state of ilui, of supremacy. Again, I want to focus on the nuance in this expression, b'bchinas ilui. B'bchinas ilui is not is not a relative term. It's higher than something else. It's higher than the oil when it is begili. B'chinas ilui means it is in a state of supremacy. What kind of state is this of supremacy? When it is outside of the Etzem, then it represents a qualified Metzius, a qualified presence, his own presence. B'chinas silu means that he is not at all representative of himself. He represents the supremacy of the Etzem. He's in a state of supremacy. His whole, like we said the other day, what if said that in Etzem there is oir, and Etzem knows itself? What does it know? It knows its supremacy. That's what knowledge is. Knowledge pertains to the highest and the most superior quality, that is what lends itself to be known. B'chinas Silui. Or b'chinas Bitul b'Yoser. And that it is in an extreme state of Bitul, because the Etzem is what is present there. B'Yoser means extreme, a lot, big, great. U'b'his galus, u'b'hai his galus. But in his galus state, in the revealed state, after the tzimtzum, Hare yorad mimadrigos. There he yorad mimadrigos. He descended from its madriga. Why? Because now this is the effect of the tzimtzum, as we explained the other day. The effect of the tzimtzum is that you're able to look at the oir without looking at the etzem. That's the tzimtzum. Normally, oir is the etzem, the gili etzem. Now becomes gili oir, mechutz le'etzem. As we explained, there is no such thing chutz le'etzem, la'atzmus. Atzmus is everything. Looking at mechutz le'atzmus means ignoring, not looking, concealing the etzem element. When then you will be able to recognize the oir aspect itself. Therefore, yored madrigosei. Lochein hu tomid b'bchinas rotz. For this reason, it is constant. This oir is always b'bchinas rotz. It has an element of rotzu. Rotzu means to rise upwards, to lehikolet b'mkoiroi, to be reincorporated in its source. I don't know if we have to have in this. There is an ability for us to focus in and get the real nekuda in this, the real point. It runs upwards, runs backwards. The only truth in absolute reality is the etzem. Anything that becomes conscious of its presence, not inclusive of the etzem, is missing the truth. It's not true. It's a lie. Therefore, the oir, when there's a tzimtzum, the oir etzem is behelam, and the oir comes to focus, to be recognized. That itself creates, so to speak, a rebellion in the oir. No, that's not what I want to be. When you call him kohen, he wants to. His whole inyan is the truth, not his own mitzvahs. And that's why he wants to be nichled in kohen. To give us a handle on this concept in our terminology, in our understanding. like we speak about halachas, din in the Torah. So we pointed out that loy signoif, loy sigzoil have a presence in our world. They can be understood from the perspective within the worldly context. You should not steal, you should not rob, so that you would have a peaceful society. It's all for a worldly purpose. That has no real presence. It's circumstantial presence to enable the world to be. But that's not what the Torah is talking about. The Torah is bringing the Meibesh Hashem into the world. Therefore, the oyer of this mitzvah, to really reveal this mitzvah, and to understand this mitzvah, and it is imperative that one understands where is the godliness in this mitzvah. How does that represent the godly presence in the world? This is what the oyer is seeking. Without this, there's no oyer in the mitzvah, there is only a practical element. Only the keli without the oyer. Just as we understand simply on the lowest level, that if someone abstains from stealing because he doesn't want to be caught, is an insignificant thing. There's no oyer in this. Not even on the lowest level. From the Torah perspective, there is no oyer even if one doesn't want to steal in order not to disturb the peace in society. Because this is still talking about the mitzias, not the reality, the truth of existence. Amitis himotze. When does it become real? When is it actually representing oyer? It is when it is when it brings the amitis himotze. And this is why it's constantly. I'm not satisfied. I want to see how this is connected to the answer. To understand it in one of the context, it doesn't satisfy.
But without the keli, it wouldn't be a presence of Hashem, the godly presence in the world.
It needs the keli makes it a.
The keli allows it to be in the world. But it needs to be the oyer as to where is the other person. If it ascends completely in keli, then it loses chayes. Okay, so this is what we said, that the oil is b'chinas rotzul hikolim b'im. Oil is the definition of it. It's always been rotzul hikolim b'im koiroi, because that's the only truth it recognizes. V'yachar kach, but then afterwards, meaning following the rotzul, you have to understand that this rotzul and this achar kach, this is simultaneous. It's describing the struggle, so to speak, the conflict within the oyer itself. Essentially, he wants to be merotz, not to be mitzias. But then afterwards, immediately, there is the choizer v'nimshach. It reverts back and is nimshach outward to be recognized as oyer. Why? B'pnei rotz in hoin soiv. Because of the rotzain, of the will of the Ein Sof, sheyiyeh gilui, that there should be gilui. In this choizer v'nimshach, there is also cognizance of the Ein Sof, of the amitis himotze, but not by the presence of the oil itself, but by the will of the Ein Sof. It's not his presence where the Elokus is recognized. It is in the Rotzen of the Ein Sof that made him be. This is the knowledge, so to speak. The Ein Sof wants him to be here.
That wasn't the case before. That was kind of got hidden.
This I said. These two states are constant. Rotze b'shuv. There's both states, because there is a mitzvah. The oil has to be his galus. If there has to be his galus, what's his galus? Oil.
Constant here simultaneously.
Constant. The mitzvah is oil. Oil doesn't want to be oil.
And then at that exact moment it's sent
and simultaneously listen. Oh, but I'm not oil because I want to be oil. I'm oil because there's a rotzen ha'elyon for me to be his galus.
That's the shuv.
That's the shuv.
But it's bittul. It's bittul in the sense that.
Then the mitzvah of oil is bittul. Yeah, that's right. Then it becomes then the oil becomes the moyer, not the oil. Rotzen ha'elyon.
It cannot just be what it was made to be. It has to have that back and forth.
What it is made to be is a lie.
So it doesn't want it. It goes back, but then it gets sent out again.
This is connected to what we said last night with the light is not. It's a completely invisible.
That's right.
But
if it should be, it accepts its own materials, then it is. Then it is not a lie. What?
It's interference.
That's interference.
Bittul, we said bittul on the way up also, right? I mean, we say that when the aura is b'kol b'atzmus, it's completely
bottled.
But then on the way down, it's also bittul in the sense that it's nullifying its own presence and expressing the malchus.
It goes down again because of its bittul. It accepts the rotzen, accepts the, so to speak, the shlichus.
So the bittul says I'm a lie, and the reality's up there, and then it also says, well, the reality wants me to be down here.
That's right. And my being here represents the reality of that rotzen. I'm here by virtue of his will, not because of what I am myself.
So why does he ever need to go back? In other words, that's
because the minute he comes down, it becomes a mitzvah.
Sorry, what was that last question you just asked? Why does it what?
I said, why does it need to go back up?
Eventually we'll get this. This is a phenomenal thing. We spoke the other day, if you remember, about Haidah. Haidah is superior to Chochmah. Or maybe we could say this is like the Koitze Shel Yudah, you know, the upper intangible element of Chochmah. In Chochmah and in sight, we always point out like this, that the experience of sight, the experience of Chochmah, is not that I have found something, I have detected something. It's not due to my research. I see its absolute truth. And how is that expressed? I'm seeing what I'm being shown, not what I discovered. This principle, I'm being shown, means why do I see what I'm being shown? Not the object. but the reason for what the shower wants me to see. This is what I'm seeing. Therefore, there I become one with the shower. I'm seeing it not because I want to see it, but because you want me to see it.
And then you become one with the.
Then you become one with the shower.
Oh. And how is that related to what we were?
This
This
is the
is
same
where
Indian of when the ore comes down, he's coming down not for its own because it wants to,
Gotcha.
because
That's right. It presents the Rotzen Ho'eli. This is what I am. The minute it begins to function as oil, it wants to go back to the water and refresh. This is called Hidor on our level because you can have a grasp in Seichel of what you understand. You cannot have a grasp in Seichel what your teacher understands, what the Rav understands. Like we said, what do we accept from Rav, what the Rav knows? This is what the Rav knows. You can grasp it. You take it in the I know it because the Rav knows. And if the Rav knows it, then I know it. But what is the knowledge? In what way is it real to me? Because my Rav knows it. This is the Rotzen Mitzvah Eli.
Is it, or has this ratzu, but really every Metzius also does have this ratzu, or like Behema Yored Lamata just keeps.
Yored Lamata. This is in the Metzius of the world, the human being is the only presence that is actually the link between the oil and keli. Like we said, the human being stands on two. Is it keli dependent? No. He's in the keli, but is it keli dependent? If you're keli dependent, you would stand on four.
So the human being is unique in having this feature of or.
Mm-hmm. All right, to be continued. I don't know if anybody's here. It must be, otherwise you're going to be disconnected. Okay, have a good day. This is it for this morning. We continue the mission Sunday. I want to mention about tonight. The mention tonight is close to 7 o'clock. I didn't check. So I think we'd like to start the Sikha at 6 o'clock. That's what it is.
An hour before.
A little bit less, but you can't start before 6 because you're not going to have an audience. But 6 o'clock is the show.
6:45.
6:45. Okay, so we'll have 45 minutes hopefully before Mincha.
Ya nam na 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 ya na na na. I know